Okay, so that's us just at 11 a.m. So we will kick off. I'd like to welcome you all. We've had great interest in today's webinar again. It's webinar number 2 in our Trade On series. And today we're looking at short-term strategies for bricks and mortar retailers. So firstly, just to introduce myself, my name is James Byrne. I'm Digital Marketing Manager with Glanbia, Ireland, and I'm the chair of the e-commerce committee in Retail Excellence. So I would just like to thank all of the members of our committee and all of our speakers and panelists today who give up their time very freely and generously, and we appreciate it. And we really appreciate the interest in the webinar series and the feedback we've had on webinar number 1 last week, which is also available to view online on the Retail Excellence YouTube account. So this is what we're going to be covering today. We're going to aim to get you out of here in 45 minutes or so. We're looking at short-term strategies for bricks and mortar retailers, as I mentioned. So while having a website is great, it's not the be all and end all, and we're going to look at some other tools that can help you sell if you're not fully web enabled yet, or how you can maximize the web platforms that you do have. I'm going to take you very briefly through how some customer needs have changed and some insight on that, what the new normal looks like. And then we're going to be jumping into CONOR COCHRANE from Social Media Elite, who's going to be speaking about how to sell using social media during COVID-19. Mícheál Ó from AIB will be taking us through the pay by link product from AIB, which is a tool for de-risking your over-the-phone payments. And then we'll be chatting with Barry Kerrigan from Kerrigans Butchers, who are doing some really innovative stuff online. And finally, again, we will end with our e-commerce expert panel. This is a Q&A session, so you'll see in your control panel, you'll see a Q&A box, so you can use that Q&A or the chat to ask questions of any of our panelists throughout today's webinar, and we'll take as many of those questions as we can at the end, or we'll follow up with people afterwards if we don't get to all the questions. So with that, customers' needs have changed, and what does this mean, right? So some of this you may have seen already. Obviously, I don't need to tell anyone on the call that we've seen a massive jump in online adoption, and this is both online sales, people shopping online for the first time. The jump has been phenomenal. You see here in Google Trends that massive spike. And it might be tempting, depending on your perspective, to think that we're going to return back to COVID-19 levels after we're through this initial, after the restrictions on retail are lifted. And I think it's very important that we remember that when we've had something similar before in SARS, where it didn't have quite the global reach, but there were short-term and long-term impacts on consumer behavior then, and a lot of those new behaviors stuck. And that's what we need to be ready for now. So the big call out we would say here is, yes, while we have had a peak and it is going to level off, it's not going to level off back to how it was before. This is going to be our new normal for quite some time. Secondly, is the crisis is an opportunity, but only if you're nimble. And again, I could be stating the obvious here, but we're seeing a lot of plans being pulled forward. So we're seeing things like Amazon opening a Dublin warehouse. We're seeing things like Google Shopping becoming free or mostly free in the US, and that's coming to Ireland before the end of the year and probably a lot sooner than that. We're seeing an awful lot of retailers pivoting, moving to new businesses online. So if you have agility and you can move, you will take advantage of that, because the paradox is that the businesses that will survive are the ones that are able to create a path for themselves and forging a path as the situation unfolds, and nobody can tell you exactly how the situation will unfold. And thirdly, the future is low contact or no contact. This image here is from food delivery service in China. So like a Just Eat, but slightly larger. They have about 6 million retailers that they deliver food for. And for their recent orders, 80% of the orders requested no contact delivery. So it's a massive change. That change is here to stay. While up to now we would have seen millennials and Generation Z driving a move towards contactless, the change now has been absolutely stratospheric, and it's not just contactless payments that people want, it's contactless everything. Like the trust in the hygiene of products and companies has taken a big battering, and that's going to take some time to recover. So I would say that this new normal is going to be no contact and low contact. So they're just 3 small insights just to share. Again, it's nothing that people wouldn't have heard before, but I would ask you maybe to reflect on those as you hear from our speakers today and as you're making your own plans for how to progress now in the new COVID-19 world. So with that, I'm going to hand you over to our first speaker, CONOR COCHRANE is the owner of Social Media Elite and Viral Media, and he's going to take you through some strategies for how to use social media to make your business work for you during COVID-19. Thanks, CONOR.
Brilliant. Thanks, James. So as James said, I'm CONOR COCHRANE from Social Media Elite. And what I want to discuss today is utilizing social media and really seeing the opportunity that is there today for businesses. And I have some examples of different size retailers and the results they're achieving on social media. So you can kind of see what you could be doing. And just go ahead there, James. Okay, so just in Social Media Elite, we have 3 sister companies. Social Media Elite, we're focused on ads. It's a results-based company. Icon Management is an influencer management company. We're marketing specialists with influencers. And then we have Viral Media, which focuses on web design and web development. Just go on, James. Okay, so just as James kind of even touched on there, the online market in Ireland, and this is going to even pre-COVID-19, it's absolutely massive. The average person spends 4.5 hours per day using their smartphone. 850,000 euro was spent online every hour in Ireland, and this is all pre-COVID-19. Where the concern would have been before this was 84% of online sales were going to websites outside of Ireland, and 72% of Irish SMEs had websites, but only 3 out of 10 could actually process online. So this is kind of what we are seeing now, that maybe we're trying to catch up on where we need to be, and how do we actually get up to speed and utilize social media and then convert online sales. If you just want to skip on, James. So why should you use social media now more than ever? Well, the first thing is, as I said, that before COVID-19, people spent on average 4.5 hours a day on their smartphone. And that figure has gone outrageously above that. To give you an idea, I put an Instagram poll on our business page last week to just get some stats, and the audience would be quite mixed in age, from business owners to younger audience on the page. And I asked 3 questions. Number 1, are you shopping online more? 72% said yes. The next one I said was, are you finding yourself on your phone more to check your screen time versus previous? 88% of people said yes. And then the final one was, are you spending more than 50% of your active day on your phone, and to compare it versus your screen time? So meaning of the hours you were awake, is more than 50% of that been spent on your phone, and 64% of people said yes. So it shows that with this lockdown and COVID-19, that people are spending huge amount of time on their phone. Majority of that time is spent on social media, and in turn is obviously been spent towards shopping. So with them hours and hours per day that has been spent online, the question is are you there to be in front of your potential customer audience? Are you there to engage them and try push them towards sales? And have you even got that platform? And the reason why I would say that, obviously on social media, you can post on your Facebook and Instagram pages, and you can get great results. But by using ads now, you can reach people that you've never reached before. And ads have never been so cheap on social media. So I don't think there's actually a better time to build a brand online than now, because ads will never be as cheap as what they are today, and they have never been as cheap. So it's time to take advantage of that. If you just want to skip on, James. So why use the social media ads? So social media ads allows you to literally define your demographic, target them, educate them with your product or service, and then sell to them. You can build a brand, build trust. The potential is huge. You should be able to bring in 30 to 40% of your online turnover with a really good social media strategy. And that's what we're seeing on average across our clients at the moment. In March, to give you an idea of the impact that we saw on social media ads, they had surpassed the return that obviously November and December had given. But in the first 2 weeks of April, the return from social media ads had already surpassed the levels of the whole month of March. So if you want to skip on. So with that in mind, what I've tried to do is give examples of different clients that maybe people listening here today can actually relate to. So the first is a small retailer. There's 2 retailers in this, and they only have 1 store and an online store. So a lot of people might be able to relate to this. The first one, they will be recognized online and offline. So they actually had quite a good site pre-COVID-19. And you can see obviously the amount they've spent in April and the amount they've returned is absolutely massive. Now the second client is quite similar in terms of size, but the difference is that they actually really only started getting going when COVID-19 really pushing their online. They were well known locally as a small retailer, but online they really started to ramp up COVID-19. But what made it so successful for them was obviously they had an online platform, but they used social media to get to their audience very quickly and very efficiently, and obviously at a really good cost. Their cost per purchase obviously looks a lot higher, but you'll notice a higher average order value of €178 from social media ads. Now, if we're going to move on to client B, just skip on, James. I have a sample of the next level up as a client. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I want people looking at this today, retailers, to be able to realize what you can achieve. These clients, some of these clients literally had nothing going on 6 weeks ago, and some of them did. So this one actually was a very well-known client locally. They have 2 locations and an online store, and this has been getting built up over the last few months. You can see that they relied heavily on their stores prior to COVID-19, but with their 2 stores closed, it was a massive knock to them. But the online has just absolutely transformed their business and has more than made up for the stores being closed. So with them, the opportunity has been that they've actually found that online has been more than a lifeline to their business. And that's what it can be. It can be more than a lifeline to your business. It can actually be the most profitable part of your business. So today, online is providing a lifeline to so many businesses, but in the future, it can be the most profitable part of your business. And they're a perfect example of a very well-known local retailer, 2 locations, doing very well, but overnight, stores closed, kind of wondering what are we going to do, really kind of drive online from there on. And they've just been like really taking it in their stride and seeing the impact it's had. And again, that's only a percentage of return that's coming from social media. So they're doing excellent. We go to client C then. So client C, now we're dealing with a higher level client here. So this is a larger retailer with multi-stores, and all the stores closed again. So they're just relying online. Again, massive panic, like so many retailers would have set in with the stores closing, would have had to turn to online with no option. That social media return represents 42% of their sales in April. So you can see these were already good online, and they were very well known nationally. And you can see just with really ramping up their social media spend, the impact it's had for them. And that ad spend, like 85 cents a purchase, is as good as I've ever seen. And it's as good as I think we'll ever see on social media. And often the figures look fake when I'm saying it to people, and that's why I use screenshots and stuff. And often, if you look on our Instagram, we'll actually use videos to do this, to show that we're not editing things, that these are the real figures. Like if I was to say to this client before this, oh, I can get you 85 cents a purchase, they would have just laughed at you. The next one then is actually just an e-commerce only client, no stores at all. They were doing okay, trading along very nicely over the last few years. Obviously, when COVID-19 came, they tried to ramp things up a little bit, and you can see it's had a major impact for them. The lowest cost per purchase we've seen, but again, they're an e-commerce only platform or e-commerce only business, so you will expect theirs to be lower. 54% of total sales were coming from social media, so major impact. We just want to move on, James. So really why I wanted to show them 3 case studies was really that people today can actually relate to one of them and say, well, we're actually quite similar to that client, and that's actually something we could do ourselves. And social media is really giving people a platform to reach a new audience, and very cheaply. What's making them so successful in brief is that they're all using a strategy. They have a very good ad strategy running, and they're not just putting ads out there saying, we're going to try to hit everyone in the country at this price. And it's not driven by offers either. They're educating people. So at the very top of the funnel, people who are not aware of the brand, they're put the right content in front of them. Blogs, videos, engaging them on their website. Then what they're doing is they're retargeting all the people who've engaged with that piece of content with another piece of content, maybe more like product carousels, more related to the service they're offering, to get them to the website. And then at the very final stage of the funnel, they're actually retargeting them dynamically based on exactly what they're interested in. I don't want to get too technical about it, but it's more about presenting relevant ads to relevant people on where they are at your marketing stage, not just trying to hit everyone with the same message. That's very important. You have a huge opportunity to build trust online, use this time, and don't just force the sale. Next one, James. So there's one trick then I feel that everyone's missing at the moment with social media, and that's influencers. For me, I just cannot understand why every single brand in the country is not jumping on influencers right now. With everyone being on social media at the moment, they're spending their time engaging with these influencers like never before. So why is everyone not using them? It's a no-brainer. What we can see is, like, I suppose when people think of influencers, think, oh, they have to have 500,000 followers. Yes, there is people in this country of that level, but to the small local retailer, you could look at someone in your town that has just a couple of thousand followers and see how you can engage them. Little tips to make a successful influencer campaign would be making sure the influencer's right for you and your brand, agreeing some sort of a brief with them, make it in a campaign and not one post. And just a little result there at the bottom, we were working with a national client who used an influencer in April. And at this stage, a lot of people were afraid to start using influencers again. And within 2 weeks, they were up 40% versus the previous weeks. So for me, I see it's an absolute no-brainer to use influencers at the moment. And next one. Also, just any questions, I'm going to be doing a Q&A at the end of this with the guys. And there's our social medias and our 3 websites if anyone has any questions directly after. Thank you.
Conor, thanks very much for that. That was fascinating. As Conor mentioned, he has a Facebook page, which is really worth checking out. They have a private Facebook group where they share tips. So thanks very much, Conor, for sharing that. And as Conor mentioned, we have a Q&A at the end. So if you see the chat box or the Q&A box, please do use those to ask any questions you might have of Conor, and we'll pick up some of them at the end. So with that, I would like to introduce you to Micheál O'Grugán, who is the head of e-commerce for AIB Merchant Services. Thank you, Micheál.
Hi guys, sorry, I'll readjust myself there. AIB Merchant Services has been helping our customers quite a lot recently to try and help them bootstrap their first steps into distance trading. I threw up a quick definition of what bootstrap is for those that don't use it, but it's to try and develop something with little or no assistance. Everything that people have talked about, the experts that's around here have talked about really good solutions that are there, but some people have to start somewhere. And the one thing we've said is that payment is the trade. It's the thing that turns a tire kicker into a customer. And if we can allow you to do that, then you can help yourself bring that customer along a journey. What Conor was talking about was getting people interested and getting people talking to you as a business through social media. If you don't have a website, if you only have social media, if you only have a phone, the best thing is to try and get yourself organized. So as I said, not all businesses have figured out how they can trade when clients aren't in their shop. Organizing the pick, the pack, ship, or collect process can be challenging. But and if it's not set up for this type yet, you can build it yourself. Our job really is to focus in on helping you turn conversations about products into sales, so that you can then deliver using any of your teams or any of your employees, or using a click and collect service. And we've seen click and collect services being used in pharmacies, for people who've been using it in medical services and physiotherapists. Anybody who needs to organize that distance selling so they can reduce the touch points within their business just to the minimum of what they need to do. And we'll skip, as I said, we'll skip over to the next slide there. The reason why you'd use a payment link is effectively to try and give the customer the ability to pay on their terms. It allows them to go through an e-commerce journey using their own phone. It allows them to enter in their card details in a secure environment. It allows them to go through 3D Secure, so you get that fraud protection that arrives from 3D Secure that you have when you're in store and people use a chip and pin or a contactless. But if you're manually keying it in when somebody's speaking over the phone, you are exposed to fraud. And so to give normally safe bricks and mortar companies this same protection, the payment link is a really strong tool in that scenario. Everything else you can build yourself, and we have seen it. And it's not ideal. It won't scale up like everything else, but it'll get you trading. And when you are limited in what you can do face-to-face by times, dates, and social distancing and so on and so forth, this is a way to expand the amount of business you can do. The amount of people that can do a curbside collect will exceed the amount of people you can let into your shop. I've seen this used extremely effectively, even with coffee shops, and pre-order coffees are flying out the door because all they have to do is deliver the product to the person. They don't have to take the order. They don't have to take the payment. They know they can get it done. So definitely organize to do something more impressive in e-commerce. But while you're at it, this is a way of earning some money for your business and keeping your employees operating. So there's no need for a transactional website, but I would say people can't buy what they don't know about. So your work on social media is key. And then the work on the phone and having people answering phones are huge. Lots of elements in terms of pay by links allow you, as I said, to generate that payment link, send it out to a customer so that that customer can then organize to pay in the place where they feel safest. They put their trust in you by giving you their money, and you correspondingly get the trust in them because they've paid up front. And as I said, that moves that customer from being a tire kicker to a customer, something you wouldn't have experienced before as a bricks and mortar customer, because in most cases people arrive at your place of business, at your counter, with the products ready to buy and ready to sell. So building that trust is huge. And as I said, we feel that giving a bricks and mortar customers this tool allows them to really simply do it. And we've seen pretty powerful stuff in terms of medical provision, and in terms of grocery, in terms of pet food, and in terms of DIY. Really strong stuff. And there are premium end pay by link services like Prompt, for example, that will send the message for you and give you lots of information back from that as to who received it, when they received it, have they opened it, have they clicked through. And we have seen that really drive an awful lot of business. But we also, as I said, we started the bootstrapping element about allowing you to create links for specific one-off elements. We have reporting portals. If we skip to the next slide there, this is an example of a customer clicking on one of the links that have been sent. This person, this shop doesn't have a website built for taking transactions, but this link brings them directly to a single-use payment screen designed to take that one payment for that one order. And you can see the steps there. They get to enter in their card details. They get to see the order value at the bottom. I have an example of a very old 3D Secure test site there to show you that we incorporate 3D Secure, and then the finish. Now, what I would say is communication is key. Just because a customer confirmed that the payment was successful, it's important that you as a company would follow back out. I would say is payment links are available to any AIB merchant services customers. You don't have to be an AIB bank customer. You do have to be an AIB customer to avail of this, but we're not the only ones providing this, and I don't want to be promoting anybody other than AIB, but they do exist, and it's important for people to take that opportunity. We see it as a very important scenario here. So that's what the customer view. I mean, clicking on the link to getting to the end, it's a couple of steps, and on the back end, there's a quick screenshot there of an example of a couple of payment links that we've sent out that haven't been paid, and then in the one on the top, you can see it has been paid, fully 3D Secure authenticated, that money's in the bank. So this, just a real basic, simple solution to say, I sent one out and it's worked. I've got the money. And this is so much the basic format of it. So to wrap it up, I suppose, to say is, what next from payment links? Well, going online means you have to find a system that works for you and your customers to pick, pack, and ship and deliver your products to them. There's lots of grants to pay consultants to help you build that system that we spoke about before in the previous webinar, and I encourage any business that wants to continue to trade online and increase its trade online to do so, because you can't scale this up to replace the kind of volume of business that you would have done face-to-face. That kind of scale requires a big, organized system. But what I will say to you is, start now with a basic system, build on top of that, and the investment will definitely be worth it. But if, as I said, if it's the right move for your company, please take it now, and in a pinch, maybe a phone line and a payment link system will do for now. And that's why we've decided to, as I said, make that available for our customers and any customers who want to come online so that we can drive it on. I would point out, and there has been questions there about the advantages over payment links and sending to a customer an email to your business rather than bank details and bank transfers. There's security both ways with card payments. Customer gets protection from failure to deliver because our card payments protect them with chargebacks for people not delivering it. On the far side, there's anti-fraud measures that are there to protect you using 3D Secure to ensure that you're not left hanging with a customer that didn't follow through a payment or used a stolen card. Those options cover both sides. Trying to get the trust level of a customer to get them to fill in all your bank transfers and to put the barrier of needing a code card to initiate a payment, for example, or for them to type in appropriately a BIC and an IBAN with as many digits as you can. You can ask the customer to do it, but typing in their 16 digits and the expiry date is something they do every day. So using something that's comfortable with them is more likely to be successful. So I think I've been trying to answer a few of the questions that have been popping up. I will definitely try to answer as many more of them as we go along, and obviously we have the panel straight after that.
Thanks very much, Micheál. We appreciate your time today. As we mentioned, Micheál will be joining us after our next speaker. We'll be taking part in the Q&A, so there's been some questions popping in there into the chat box and the Q&A, so please keep them coming. I see one of the questions is, will we be sending on the slides afterwards? And yes, we will. So you'll get an email from Antoinette with the slides, and you'll also get a link to a recording of the webinar if there's anything you want to look back on. So with that, I would like to introduce our next panelist, Barry Kerrigan, if we can get our slides to cooperate. Barry, you're very welcome.
Hello, James.
We're going to have a chat for a few minutes and you're going to tell us some about what you're doing online. So I was hoping you might open by telling us a little bit about yourself and your business and how COVID-19 has impacted your business.
Yes, morning, James, and good morning to everybody tuning in to watch this webinar. So my name is Barry Kerrigan. I am a second generation craft butcher based in North County, Dublin. We have 3 retail stores. We have a concession store with a fresh supermarket. And we also have an online business where we ship fresh food, mainly meats, next day all around Ireland.
That's great. And COVID-19, you're an essential retailer. What has that meant for you?
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind, to be honest. I suppose like every retailer in the country and every business owner in the country, none of us knew what to expect. And I suppose I was like everybody else. I was watching what was going on in China in February, kind of thinking, it's not going to really impact Ireland too much. We're too small. But then as we saw over the next few weeks, and then as soon as the schools closed around March the 13th, I think it was, we've been lucky. We've had a queue outside our doors since. Our online web store has been fully booked for the last 2 weeks in advance. So it's been very, very hectic for us, and we're very grateful to be in that position.
And like a lot of us who are retailing online have been dealing with this great increase in demand, which has been fantastic in one sense, but also difficult to scale for many businesses. Have you been able to meet your demand online, or has it created any opportunities for you, or just challenges?
It's mainly, like, they're good challenges. Like every retailer wants to be busy, first and foremost. So we are busy. That's great, but it has its challenges. You know, obviously staffing we can't add any more staff into our business because we are at full capacity with regards to this health and safety issues. So it is challenging, but customers are being patient. Customers understand that we are doing the best we can in the current situation. So overall, it's been positive for us, thankfully.
And have you had to pull forward any plans? I see that the likes of Tesco have pulled forward plans. Do you have anything in train that you were able to speed up, or did you drop everything because of COVID-19?
I suppose like every independent retailer, we don't plan too much. We're very reactive. You know, we might plan for a week if I'm lucky, but we're kind of very reactive. And I suppose that's the one thing we have over the big multiples, is that we can be so agile, be so nimble. We can put in processes much quicker than these big, huge supermarkets. So, you know, I could change things, you know, in a matter of days. I could pivot into situations or into areas I thought might be a revenue winner for me.
And have you found your own local customers shopping online with you more that would have traditionally walked in the front door?
No, because I suppose it's hard to say exactly, but definitely online is more of a nationwide delivery. And with the 2 kilometer maximum area you could travel to over the last 2 weeks, it's been very, very much local people coming to the stores. So online has been nationwide, and we're doing click and collect. We're doing same day delivery locally. So we're trying to kind of meet as much customers' needs as we can. So it's been very interesting, and it's been a real eye opener.
And you told me this week when we were catching up, Barry, about Flip Dish. I think we have a slide on it here. This sounds really interesting. Can you tell us a little bit more about how it came about and what it is?
Yeah, we've had it in the store for a while, but never really kind of utilized it. So Flip Dish are an Irish company, and what they do is they build white label apps for companies. So they will get you set up with your own company logoed app, and they can configure the app to any kind of needs you want. So, you know, we were doing delivery through the app. People can click and collect through the app. So it's a very, very versatile little tool. It wasn't overly expensive to set up. They have an onboarding charge. I forget what the price was. It wasn't overly expensive, and then they take a commission on sales. So if you don't sell, you don't pay anything, which I liked about it. So it's working well. People can download the app and they can order for click or collect or for delivery.
Great. And so it is driving in more business for you.
Yeah, and again, it's all about, like, we have so many different demographics. So this appeals to a certain demographic. You know, maybe people in the age of 25 to 35 will use this sort of application to order the food with us.
Great. And you also were a successful applicant in the last round of EI funding. We had a lot of content last week about the EI scheme. What does that mean for you, I guess? What do you plan to use it for?
It means I was unlucky, because the third round they got 80%. So the second round we got 50%. But all jokes aside, now it's being allowed us to up the ante as regards our online offerings. So currently I'm using WordPress and WooCommerce, which, for anybody knows who's using WordPress or WooCommerce, there's lots of things that can go wrong, and getting the grant has allowed me to shift over to a Shopify store, which is almost ready to go. I'd say we're 90% there. So we've been using a company called Milk Bottle Labs, who are our partner with Retail Excellence Ireland as well. So with them, over the next couple of weeks, we'll be rolling out a brand new Shopify store, which I'm very excited to open up and get rolling out there.
That's great. Thanks, Barry. And we're going to have some more content on Shopify at next week's webinar if anyone is interested in that.
Yeah.
And partnerships, like I think I would actually be worn out trying to keep up with you when I see how much stuff that you do with the
power of social media, isn't
apps and brands and sub brands and everything. It's amazing. But you're big into partnerships, and I was really interested to see the one recently with Guaranteed Irish, especially coming from such a local retailer like yourself.
Yeah, I suppose, like, for me, how did that work? Well, for me, it's all, you know, I've been very kind of passionate about selling Irish produce, and I was looking for a way, how can I, you know, make that more into a public domain, or how can I kind of amplify that part of the business, that everything we do is Irish. You know, we source the best Irish food, we, you know, as many dry goods as we can, we get it from Ireland. But their CEO, actually, Breathe, is a customer of mine in Malahide, and she kind of twisted my arm to join, as she's a good saleswoman. But and then we just got talking about how ways that we could actually use the Kerrigans platform, maybe to launch a couple of, you know, up and coming small artisan brands. So that's what we're doing at the moment. We pitched the idea that if you're a Guaranteed Irish member and you are interested or looking to launch a product, you could use Kerrigans as that platform. So I think we just finished up last week for entries, and over the next couple of weeks, hopefully we'll have 1 or 2 artisan, young, small Irish producers on our shelves and in our web store as well.
That's brilliant. And I think that's a huge trend at the moment. People really want to shop and support local businesses and retailers. So I think you're tapping into something that's really of the moment there.
Yeah.
I see a question coming in there for you, Barry. How did you persuade people to install the app on their phones?
Oh, so yeah, again, social media. We'd have a database as well. So we would have a loyalty system in the shop. So And with their permission, obviously, we can send them SMS messages. So once we had the app, we said, hey, listen, you know, we can send them a link through an SMS message to download the app. And then Facebook is probably the main one we use for our stores. So yeah, between Facebook, SMS, and telling people in store, word of mouth is very powerful as well. So those three kind of strategies help people to download the app, and also if you give them a little incentive, maybe 10% off the first purchase using the app, that helps as well. So.
And I see you're not a stranger to influencer marketing either. You're using an influencer there for your Food for Life business. Is that successful for you?
I think, yeah, as Conor was saying earlier on, influencers are very, you know, if you can tap into the right one that fits your business, they're very powerful. So we just unveiled Dean Rock as our ambassador stroke influencer, and as we know, Dublin are the best team in the country. Sorry.
Could see a few drop-offs there now in our attendees.
I know, but Dean is perfect fit for us because he lives the lifestyle. He's very much foods for fitness. He's a local man from Malahide. He shops with us already, so it was a really nice fit. And yeah, delighted to have him on board to help to spread the word about Kerrigans.
That's super, Barry. Barry, thanks. Like, we could probably talk all day about it. I think you're a real inspiration in what you're doing there, because you're walking the walk, and you're a local retailer that's not letting any barrier stand in your way with regards to online. So thank you for sharing that with us. And we'll probably have some more questions now, but what we might do is introduce our panel and open up to the rest of the panelists and yourself for any questions.
Yeah, sure.
So just to briefly introduce our panel, we have Micheál, who you've heard from, Maeve Dwyer, who's Head of Marketing and Customer Service with DPD Ireland, who will hopefully be able to answer any final mile type questions for us. We have Barry, we have Keohane, who, as well as being the owner of Studio 49 and developing a lot of the biggest websites in Ireland, is also instrumental in putting this webinar series on and has helped us with all the technical side of it. So thanks, Ger, for that. And CONOR COCHRANE as well, who I think we have a few questions lined up already for CONOR. So welcome to everybody and thank you very much. And we might, well, I might just open it up first, just after hearing all of our speakers. Does anyone have any burning issues that you'd like to cover off before we jump into the questions? Just feel free to jump in. And if not, we will jump into some of the questions here. We had two questions came in by email, and I don't know if we can satisfactorily answer them because unfortunately a lot of things are in a grey area at the moment, but I'm going to throw them open to Maeve to see if we can give even a partial answer, but we might have to ask to come back on it because some of these are around click and collect from store. And to be honest, it's not a clear situation at the moment. So the first question, Maeve, is, I've noticed a number of businesses have started promoting click and collect on their websites at the moment. We have avoided this as it doesn't seem to fit in with our understanding of the current trading restrictions. Is click and collect still allowed at the moment, or should websites be delivery only?
Well, from my understanding, they should only be allowed for the essential services currently, but it is something that we need to look and get some more clarification in relation to. Because yeah, I have seen a widening of the click and collect offering online as well, but from my understanding of the phased approach, it shouldn't be allowed yet, but we need to check into it further.
Super, thanks, Maeve. And I think the other question is also a challenging one to answer, which is to do with, can a two-man delivery enter a person's home to deliver and assemble products if they have suitable social distancing protocols in place? I think that can't happen at the moment, but if anyone feels otherwise.
I don't think that can happen at the moment either, but again, we need to get some clarification as to when it can happen because it's not clear in terms of the overall phased outline exactly where that would fall.
Super, thank you, Maeve. A question here about Amazon. I'll probably throw this one maybe to yourself, Ger. Would you recommend selling on Amazon alongside an e-commerce site?
Yes, I would. I mean, obviously, Amazon gives a lot of benefits in that it gives you access to a very, very large market. The problem is that Amazon is going to eat away at your margin. So if you're a standard retailer with a standard kind of retailer's margin, you probably don't have enough scope to actually make a profit on Amazon. The other side of that coin is that after you've probably given away margin to Amazon, you also don't own the customer. So, sometimes you might feel it's okay to give away margin as long as you own the customer relationship afterwards and you can make sales back to the customer through customer retention strategies. That is not going to work so easily in Amazon. There are ways around it, but it's something that you have to keep in mind. So really, unless you have kind of your own brand, or you're a manufacturer, or you have some quite large scope on the margin, it's going to be quite difficult for you to make money on Amazon. It's really a numbers game. The second thing is that Amazon are always going to be trying to find ways to, I suppose, cut away, add additional fees, and cut away at your margins. So it's really something that you have to be very active on. It's nearly a full-time job selling on Amazon at any kind of a scale. It takes quite a while to gain traction on Amazon. You know, I was even speaking with somebody recently who told me about how they finally got traction on Amazon after about 6 to 9 months of sales. And then during Black Friday, they were given the opportunity to be one of the lightning deals on Amazon. But Amazon's own warehouse had a fire in the region of where their stuff was stored, and as a result, they weren't able to sell anything during the lightning sales. And Amazon, when they paid, you know, they paid for the stock afterwards, but they didn't get the benefit of the Black Friday deals. So it does have its problems. Also, obviously, Amazon are a hard taskmaster. You have to be very, very efficient in terms of operations to keep them happy. It's very easy to spend a lot of time getting traction on Amazon and then fall over because you didn't get your orders out fast enough, or you had a couple of stock outs that you didn't notify Amazon about, or whatever. So I would recommend Amazon as a way of selling, especially if you're trying to get into international markets. It's a very obvious route to market to test your ability to, and to test the quality of your operations, etc., your customer service, and so on. But it's not to be taken on lightly, and there's a long enough road to it. So you'd want to have your thoughts and strategies in order before you started with it.
Thank you for that, Ger. If there's any questions we don't get to today, we will try and follow up with people individually afterwards. I know we have a lot of questions coming in about deliveries. Maeve, one that you touched on last week, you might just answer it again briefly, is from your own perspective in DPD, what's capacity like at the moment? Someone has mentioned here some delays with getting set up.
Yeah, it's, I think all carriers are finding it very challenging at the moment. Just in terms from a DPD point of view, I suppose we saw a 50% increase in parcel volumes between sort of maybe the second week in March and where we are now. And of course, with that type of increase, then you need to have feet on the ground or drivers in vans to get the deliveries done then. So we've had a huge recruitment drive ongoing over the last number of weeks. We're getting there in terms of building the personnel numbers, but we still have a bit to go, and I think every carrier is finding the same. So it's there's no doubt but that it's been a challenge. I suppose, but interestingly, what we found, of course, as people move to home working, maybe the areas where traditionally we would have seen very high delivery density, like in the commercial areas of Dublin, that changed because now people were working from home, and the higher density delivery now is in the more suburban areas because of e-commerce and delivery to private individuals when they're working from home. So, you know, there's been a big transition and lots of changes for us to deal with.
So I guess in summary, maybe it might be hard to sign up, say, as a new customer right now, but in a few weeks that should start to free up.
Sorry, yeah, James. Yes, right now we're really, the whole thing for focus for us now is building the resources, and once we have all of that in place, then we'll be ready to take on any new business. We want to make sure that we can support our existing client base effectively right now, but we have a huge recruitment drive underway.
Okay. Very briefly, Ger, because we could have a webinar just on this question. You might give us a range. What's the average cost in building a retail website and running it?
Okay, we could have,
in one line.
could have a webinar on this one, but it's a good question and it's important nowadays to have an idea. So the first thing is which platform you're going to build it on. So if you're building on Shopify, it is the fastest and cheapest way to get a website up and running. You can literally set up your own website within an hour on Shopify, from registering the domain name through to getting the payments up and running, etc. Now, obviously, you know that's outside the ability of some people, and many people will want help with that. So if they go to an agency to get an agency to build Shopify, somebody like ourselves, the likes of Milk Bottle Labs working with BYRNE, and so on, then you are talking about, you know, somewhere in the region of 10,000 to 25,000. 10,000 is really the lower end of the scale, and it very much depends on design. So what level of design you're looking for or can tolerate, and then what apps you need, whether or not you need integrations to your ePOS and so on. So if you're looking for a site that has pretty decent integrations to your ePOS systems for stock and inventory management, product information management, order processing, if you need some automations, if you want an integration to DPD, for example, or on Bust, etc., you're probably looking at up at around the 25 to 35,000 euro mark, even on Shopify. After that, if you're looking at the open source systems like Shopware or Magento, for Shopware, you can double the Shopify costs as a bare rule of thumb. Now, this is real rule of thumb, so nobody hold me to any of this, but you can double the Shopify costs on Shopware, and for Magento, you can probably double the Shopware costs. So a standard, let's say, average retail website where you've done some work on design and branding and so on, you've done work on integrating it to Google Shopping and Facebook and Instagram, you have it integrating with your ePOS ERP system, and so on and so forth. You're looking at around, let's say, the Shopify mark, 25 to 35, the Shopware mark, 50 to 70, and the Magento mark, pretty much anything you want to spend. So I hope that gives a range.
Could I just offer some sort of input in here? There's an awful lot of customers that may want to start doing business, and it does not always require the bells and whistles. I would say our best performing websites would be the ones that would be on, that would have spent that amount of money on their investment. And so long term, those investments are worthwhile. But if that's beyond you right now, it doesn't mean that you can't create a variant of trading online, including the DIY kind of build outs as well. And in some cases, merely having a pointy website which is free to set up and just displays all the products you have can be a beginning to on the road to finding a distance selling solution. Everything that Ger says, we respect Studio 49 for building strong industries and building strong customers, and I think it's fabulous. But I don't want good, perfect to be the enemy of good in this scenario. So one of the first and biggest things you can do is tell people that you're there and what you sell, and give them a means to even do a basic amount of trade with you. And from that, you should, when you're looking and planning for next phase and next phase after that, you should look at doing a good, solid investment. And speaking to people like Studio 49 is key to getting those value for money conversations up and running. But I do think there's always this element of don't go from having no presence to immediately going to try and build something. It's better to start putting your face out there, putting your business out there, and trying it. And you can see from Kerrigan's Butchers, they have tried everything, they are trying everything, and it worked. Because it's important just to get yourself out there and operating.
Absolutely, I'd 100% agree. We do offer an e-commerce accelerator program, which is at a fraction of the cost, which is basically set up just to get the website running and train people on how to use it and get their catalog up there. And that is really, as the great expression there, not letting perfect be the enemy of good. That's about getting your products up onto a website as fast as possible. And to be fair, a lot of people can learn how to do that themselves using the YouTube tutorials. I agree totally with what Micheál is saying. Also, just to highlight as well, you know, the service offered by AIB, the pay by link, is a great way of doing a very kind of fast approach to trying to get online payments running at all, so that you can text or get the link over to the customers and get a sense of what it's going to feel like to try and list your products, to try and get your marketing going, etc., ever before you start working on a website. But yeah, there's a lot of options out there, and I think we're actually, the webinar next Monday, webinar 3, we'll be talking a little bit about how to get the websites up and running fast. So
great, thanks, Ger. Yeah, and we can pick up some questions next week as well, around those topics as well. Thanks, Micheál. We have run over our time a little bit, but we do have a lot of questions still coming in, so I might just ask one or two more, and any questions we don't get to, we will try and follow up with you. There's a lot about DPD and courier questions, so we might answer all of those and send them out in a batch. A question for Barry, now it might be for Barry or Ger, is Barry, we were recommended to use WordPress, but would you recommend Shopify for larger retailers? It's a small retailer asking the question.
Yeah, from my experience anyway, is the simpler the better. So Shopify is an all-in-one system, so you don't have to worry about hosting. You don't have to worry about the website going down. And they have a fantastic, in my opinion, a fantastic checkout system. So for me, Shopify seems to be a good entry tool for anybody wishing to invest in an online system. Like we started with WordPress and WooCommerce, but I just felt like, you know, there's too much kind of going on, and it could fall down. Like the website has gone down. You know, we've had hosting issues, so I just can't wait to get on to Shopify, to be honest.
Great. Conor, you might close us out on the Q&A. And again, this is one I know you could talk about for a long time, so I'd have to ask you to give the brief version. Influencer marketing, any tips on engaging with influencers, evaluating them? What are the costs involved? Cash or in-kind payments?
So like on a local level, I suppose, small town level, you might just know of an influencer that has a couple of thousand followers, and you might be able to engage with them and, you know, kind of offer some product, etc. with that. But when you're going to go outside of that level and you're dealing more on a national level, you're definitely going into your tens of thousands of followers up to your hundreds of thousands. And that's where these influencers will have set fees. They will be able to bill you for campaigns and stuff like that. How to find the right influencer for you? I would say spend a bit of time doing it. Use Icon Management as a platform we have where you can liaise with us and we'll help source the right one for you. But you'd have to do research in terms of who their followers are, their demographic, their pricing, what you're going to get them to do in return. So take a bit of time to really liaise with the influencer on that, or find someone who can help you with it.
Super. And that's someone, I presume, is you, Conor, as well? Yes. Hopefully you'll get some calls. Guys, thanks very much. We could keep going, but we won't, because to be fair, we have run over. Just very briefly before we wrap up, I just want to say a huge thank you again to all of our panelists, to everyone who's helped us organize today. Everyone has given very freely of their time. We really appreciate it. We have one more webinar left. First, I should say, you'll just see a poll popping up there that we got great response last week. Appreciate if everyone could just take a second to answer a few quick multiple choice questions there. Give us your feedback. The next webinar is next Monday, the 11th at 11 a.m. We will follow up from today with an email that will give you the deck from today, a link to the video, and also the registration link. When the window closes now in a moment, you should get a registration link then as well. So in the next webinar, which is next Monday at 11 a.m., we're going to be looking at the effects of COVID-19 on online shopping. We're going to be talking about how to get online fast and scale up an existing website, how we can use online to compensate for losses in in-store revenue. Donald Vaughan, who's also a member of our committee and the winner of the Retail Excellence Website of the Year, is going to be joining us to share his story. And then we have our panel back again to answer any questions. If you send in any questions to antoinette@retailexcellence.ie, we will circulate them to our panel ahead of time. Or as per today, you can ask questions live. So we had just as many attendees today as last week. So thank you so much for that. We'll let everybody go. Thank you very much. And we hope to see you next week. Thanks all.